everybody, and welcome to another Kerbal Space Program video. Today's video is going to be rather long because I am doing a tutorial on the mod Far Future Technologies. In particular, I want to focus on the mod's large array of engines and related fuel. So, if I head over to search bar, type in Far Future, I should get all the parts that are directly added by the mod. There are rather a lot of them, so I'm just going to get started from the top and work my way down. Okay, so here we have the Casaba Antimatter catalyzed microfission engine, and as you can see, it's a fairly big rocket engine. It's got 5 meters wide. Well, technically it's wider because the engine belt is in fact wider than 5 meters, but the top part where it attaches to the rest of the vessel is 5 meters. Thankfully, this is a fairly simple engine to use in your spacecraft, so as you can see, I've got a lot of different info here, but there's this engine charge rate, which I'm just going to bump up to the maximum. If I head over here and click on the engine, then it says chargeable engine to charge up before. You can tell this is a real-time commentary. This is a chargeable engine. The engine needs to charge up before activating. Power used to charge can be varied. So startup requires 1,000 electric charge total. Takes a minimum time of 1 second in order to charge. These are the fuel requirements. The engine has a built-in supply of ablator, as you can see. Which since it can't be, since according to the fuel flow manager it says cannot drain from other parts, this essentially gives an upper limit to the amount of fuel you can stick on this engine. Kind of a shame, since it's actually an alright engine, it's actually a pretty cool engine. So in order to get this one to a reasonable degree of efficiency, you take this nuclear pellet storage container, stick it on top of the rocket. Then you take this anti-proton storage ring and put that on top of it, and that gives you the maximum practical amount of fuel. As you can see, yes, fully efficient. Just one fuel tank. If you add more fuel tanks, doesn't increase the burn time. It actually hurts the vessel because you can't, because it has an extra ablator as well, and you can't fit that on the vessel. Kind of really annoying. Yeah, but it's an alright engine. Good for, I don't know, little cheap burns, or if you just want to make something that looks different. But anyway, as you can probably tell, this loop temperature thing means that the engine's emitting lots of heat and there aren't enough radiators. For basically all of Far Future Technologies engines, I would recommend downloading 2 mods in particular. Heat Control, which adds radiators, like big ones, like this is actually clipping in. Let's compare it to a stock radiator. It's a bit shorter. Well, this one's actually a lot better than that one because it's a graphene heat radiator as opposed to just a bit of coolant. So yeah, I'm just seeing if 2 of these work. Okay, 2 of these are clearly not enough. Let's go for 3. Again, let's take these ones, which are double the heat output, which should double the cooling output. Plenty. So yeah, just take the two largest heat radiators in heat control and you put them on the side of your rocket, of your Casaba powered rocket, and you've just, well, you've got enough fuel. You just got enough radiators, you got enough fuel. You would absolutely want a battery. Like, this is one of the things where near future electrical comes in, because near future electrical adds the Z32K rechargeable battery bank. It's a big battery you can attach to your vessel. Move fast, Delta V. And yes, it's got a lot of electric charge. Very useful. So yes, that is that. And now we move on to, yes, the Dirac. This one was a little bit annoying for me to work with. So as you can see, it has low thrust, lots of specific impulse, especially compared to the Casaba. Like, that's like 10 times the specific impulse. But in this, instead of being a micro fission engine, it is a micro fusion engine. So we need some antimatter, liquid deuterium, and liquid helium. Now, the liquid deuterium and liquid helium tanks are not actually provided by Far Future Technologies mod itself. The anti-proton storage is for storing your antimatter, but the fuel tank is all the way down here, and in order to correctly optimize your vessel, you need this, the ST4L3 fusion fuel tank, and you need one of these set to deuterium helium 3. I'll just put this compact because that looks better with the rest of the stuff. We need one of these fuel tanks for every storage ring. And yeah, I think the game's bugged out. Oh yeah, stock game cannot handle this. No, it can. How odd. Must have been a weird technical glitch. Anyway, yes. You actually just, I think, well, you need a lot more fuel basically. So, I know, add 1, 2, I have 4 of those, and you've got a pretty good amount of Delta V for a spacecraft which is nothing but fuel. Anyway, so yes, this is a fusion engine, so it requires another starting charge. Like, to be honest, all the fusion engines require a startup charge before you can use them, which consumes a certain amount of electric charge, and you can change the charge rate. Like, if I just get rid of that, just bump the charge rate up to maximum, and as long as you've got enough batteries, you're good. Oh yeah, and the engine doesn't heat, and you do need to have some radiators. But I think 2 of the stock ones will do the trick. Yeah, but just 2 of these, put them on. Okay, no, they don't do the trick. Let's go for these ones. Those do work. That is good. Okay, and now... Okay, because we're working from the top down, we are getting to the best engine in the mod really early. And this is for people who have a large, and I mean large, amount of antimatter to spare. As you can see, it's got a specific amount, got antimatter, liquid hydrogen consumption, and to be honest, like in order to get the right amount of fuel for this engine in, you just need to remember to have twice as much antimatter as liquid hydrogen. If you have twice as much antimatter as liquid hydrogen, then you've got enough antimatter. And this is a bit of an interesting engine, because as you can see, it's rather dinky short, even though it's also a 5 meter one, like the Casaba, like fruity, like look, they're both 5 meters, no, whatever. Oh yeah, and this one's actually a this one is actually a 2.5 meter engine, which I forgot to mention earlier. So yeah, this one's interesting because it outputs a lot of heat, but the actual engine component is this bit down here, the bit that looks like a rocket nozzle. And you can change the length of the extra radiators to have more cooling. Like, see, this engine heat generation has gone down, and if you make it longer, it goes down again, and again, and again, and again, etc., all the way to 110 meters tall, which is taller than a vehicle assembly building. So in order to build spacecraft that uses engine, I have a mod called Hangar Extender, where I have the dependencies for it, click through blocker and toolbar controller. So whenever I click this button, space vehicle assembly building disappears, and now I can actually put things on top of the engine, like an antimatter fuel tank is a good idea, but I don't really like this one because it's a bit short and wide, and like if you stack a lot of them up, then you've got a lot of nodes all really close together. What I prefer to do is I take this antimatter tank right here, which has the same amount of capacity as this one, but then if I can get them right there, I mount them radially to the side and then stack them like this. You get the gist. So I'll just take that off. Yeah, that's the Frisbee antimatter engine. This is the best engine that you can have that exists in this mod. Fortunately, getting out of antimatter to operate it is hard. Oh yeah, no, as you can see, there are a bunch of parts, but this is for detecting resources in space. That works with one of far future technology's dependencies called space dust, which, well, basically it just allows you to extract resources from atmospheres or even from specific regions of space, and then extract them using special equipment. Like, once you get to that, I can show you. Ah yes, the fusion reactors for, like, oh yeah, one of the interesting gimmicks of antimatter fuel in general actually is that it requires electric charge to store it. Like, this tank here will take 120 electric charge per second to contain its antimatter. When you have large vessels with lots of fuel tanks, such as this one, which is something I'm going to use in a later video, so bonus sneak peek content. So yeah, if you scroll down, so as you can see, I've mounted the hydrogen tanks to the sides, and those actually cost 11 electric charge each, roughly, to contain liquid hydrogen, these, it doesn't say it, but they cost 120. And I know that thanks to this mod. I don't remember what. Oh, it's one of the. It comes with one of the near future things. Might be part of dependencies, yeah. So yeah, as you can see, your fuel tanks are just taking up a lot of charge, and as you can look, antimatter contains 120 electric charge to contain antimatter. In science mode, 1 unit of antimatter costs 1 science in order to fuel up into your vessel. And yes, I've got large radiator. Like this vessel, this engine is not full length. This engine is, as a matter of fact, it's half length. So I need to add lots of radiators in order to cool it. I don't know if this is all of them, but yes. And yeah, I'll definitely be using this in the video. Like, I've been designing it for so long that at this point it'd be a bad idea for me not to use it in the video. Oh yes, and this is a particle scoop. You can extend it once you're in empty space. Or not empty space, actually. You can extend it. Why am I scrolling away from it? Yeah, you extend this in space, and if you're in a belt of resources, then you can extract some of those resources. Admittedly, to get noticeable amounts of antimatter, it takes like decades of in-game time in order to even fill up this measly little storage ring, which only has 50 antimatter. So yes, this antimatter is a hard resource to use, but when used in large enough scales, you get some pretty cool results. And this vessel, and the Frisbee engine, actually produces a multi-kilometer long beam of what is technically known as ambiplasma, which is the science shorthand for plasma which has equal amounts of matter and antimatter. So yeah, that's a design. And another design was up here. Yeah, so this is a very large vessel actually, as you can probably tell. And it used the engine, but at full length. So in other words, you've got this absolutely ginormous engine, 110 meters tall, and it's just, and at its 110 meter length, the engine has a mass of 80 tons. So that plus the fact that the hydrogen in particular has got a lot of mass, makes this particular 64 Kerbal vessel gives it a mass of, oh yeah, 723 tons. Hefty. And you may notice that it doesn't have delta V. That's because the burn time of this vessel is so long that the game can't calculate it. If I open up Kerbal Engineer Redux, I get a delta V of roughly 2 million meters per second, which is astonishing for having a thrust which is equal to the thrust of one of the most powerful engine in the stock game, the Mammoth. Okay, so that's the Frisbee antimatter engine. Now we jump down to the Impulse Magneto-Inertial Fusion engine. This is an interesting fusion engine, especially as it's another chargeable engine, of course. But as you can tell from these thrust values, it has an afterburning mode. But in afterburning mode, it's actually more efficient, as indicated by the specific impulse value. But it does take a bit more out of your batteries and also adds some extra helium-free. Like, look, in afterburning mode, this gave me a headache for a long time because, like, it consumes 4 different resources. How on earth do I optimize them? And I've got some numbers to crunch, which I worked out. So basically, I'm just going to take this large fuel tank. Doesn't actually matter how much you have. I'm going to ignore the actual exact amount of electric charge because that's a regenerative resource. yes, which mode? Manual. Oh yeah. In both modes, it just generates heat. Okay, so the formula I worked out is for every 1 unit of liquid deuterium you have, and this is specifically related to afterburning mode, you need 55 lithium. So if I get my calculator and just work out 7,200 times 55, so that comes up to 396,000 lithium. So, here's lithium tanks. Okay, so this is, I think this is the largest lithium tank available, and it's almost got enough. Oh yeah, you get pretty good delta V out of this, but then again, I think it's supposed to be much earlier unlocked in the tech tree, especially in particular the Antimatter, the Frisbee. Yeah, this is the impulse. So I need a bit more, another. So total minus 35200. Oh wait, I need a lot of those. I misread that because there's a 0.0. I'm just going to quickly add another 8 of those, by which point the burn time is gone. As you can see, look, 100,005 second burn. So therefore, it's got way too much burn time for the game to calculate, and now it's got almost 100,000 meters per second, and this thing isn't even fully optimized yet. So I just essentially multiplied that by 9. So I'm just going to do 9 times that. Put down the calculator, and I need 44,000. So that'd be another one of the big ones. Wow, that's quite a lot. This requires a lot of lithium. Oh wait, no. I just changed that to 36080. 360,800. Actually, no, I'm gonna just. Okay, don't just work out total recount. 39600 minus bracket 10 times however much is in here. 35200. Okay, 44,000, which is another. Which actually can be done a bit simpler. Oh wait a second, this is 4,400. So if I have 10 of these, that's 8. That's 10. Okay, now I have a double V of 94,397 meters per second. And this is when empty. Like this It's already got better delta V than the Casaba. Well, actually, no, I don't think it does, actually, but. Well, this is pretty good, admittedly. This is afterburning mode, and you need a lot of lithium. If you're not using afterburning mode, so just set the deuterium, set that to deuterium. Then you need okay, it's us 11 amount of lithium per liquid deuterium. So it was 36000 multiplied by 11 equals... Oh, same amount of lithium either way. Okay, so just basically just put the same amount of lithium. Just put... Oh yeah, it was 10 of these and 10 of these for every one of these, and you have enough lithium for your to perfectly optimize your vessel. Oh wow, this video is going to take a lot longer than I thought it would. Okay, so let's try and get a bit faster now. Ah yes, the Discovery Spherical Tokamak Fusion Engine. Oh yeah, that's magneto-inertial, forgot to mention that. Magneto-inertial fusion confinement. But when it says magneto-inertial, it talks about magneto-inertial confinement. Well, there are lots of... The best place to read about these different types of engines is about stuff like advanced rocket concept technologies like this is the Atomic Rockets website, which I will put a link in the description. So, okay, onto this engine. So, yeah, this is an interesting one. So, as you can see, it has, like the Impulse, it has a regular mode and an afterburning mode. So, afterburning's actually, this engine's actually just better than the magneto-inertial one, even in afterburning, but when not, it's a pretty good engine. So, yes, so my calculations I basically just calculated the fuel consumption ratios of every single engine which didn't burn a single type of fuel. So, and I worked out that in order to have one of these, so for every one liquid deuterium, I'll just make sure that works, I needed, in regular mode, I needed 201 hydrogen, probably 200, it came out to a bunch of decimal on the calculator, so I just ran it to 201, so yeah, so if I have 7,200 times 201, I need 144,000, okay, I need 1,447,200, I think I can get that in one. Wait a second. That's a lot. No, that's not a lot. That's not a lot more than I need. That's actually most of what I need. Okay, so that's got a lot of delta V. Please note, with one exception, all of these engines are vacuum optimized, or i.e. they don't work in any sort of atmosphere, and some of them, for obvious reasons, you can't really use if you point them at a planet, because you'll basically kind of kill the planet. So, well, no, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah. Anyway, I need a bit more fuel. I need to take minus 860 and 583,000. 583,200. So if I just add another 432,001, I'll just work that out. So now I need 151,000. Is this too? Okay, yes, that's too much on its own. Oh, that's 108,000. I'll bolt that on. I just want to, at this point, I'm just thinking, I'm actually seeing what's roughly the right amount of fuel for this. So now I need 43,200 liquid hydrogen. If I can find, right, that's a bit too low. That's a bit too much, but those are the sizes right next to each other. So I'll probably go a bit over. Just to... yes, and if you just... And if you take it down, so you can actually have the exact amount. So yes, they need... Okay, that's a lot of fuel tanks. Let me zoom out so I can actually see all this. So yeah, for one of these little fuel tanks, the ST4L3R fusion fuel tank. Oh wait, I forgot to mention that for the Dirac, the second engine I mentioned, you need, this is the ST4L3 fusion fuel tank, which is the flat version of this one. So you need one of those. That's the serial number, and as you can tell, it's near the bottom. Or at least it's near the bottom on my extremely heavily part-modded Kerbal Space program. So yes. And in afterburning mode, you need something more like double. You know, you need double the amount of liquid hydrogen in order to have enough to power afterburning mode optimally on one of these fusion fuel tanks. So, and like, as you can tell, based on this patchwork, liquid hydrogen tanks are big, and in this one it's amplified by the fact that you need a lot of them. You probably, like, I have no doubt that other people watching this video could come up with their own. Well, the Kerbal players watching, any Kerbal players watching this video will be able to just throw together a design that actually has all this fuel on it in a way that looks good. So yeah, that's the Discovery Spherical Tokamak. And now we come on to the Ouroboros Toroidal Tokamak fusion engine. And this, as you can tell, is an aerospike, which basically means, and it has, unlike almost all the other engines in this video, that it has a high at sea level atmospheric thrust. So you can use this on the first stages of your rockets, and it actually looks pretty good. It's even got a aerodynamic shell variant for the purpose. Oh yeah, it's another charge rate. Hold on. Oh yeah, no, Tokamak is a charge-up engine. I just thought it wasn't for some reason. Anyway, yes, as you can see, it's got these kinds of this propellant consumption rate. That's just a lot of complicated decimal numbers, which I've worked out so that you don't have to. And basically, I wanted to get a lot more number crunching, and came up with for every one unit of liquid deuterium, you need 800 hydrogen. And again, I find this engine hard to use on rockets usually because the fuel tanks are such weird, crazy shapes. So let's just calculate that. Oh wow, 5.7 million. 5.7 million liquid hydrogen. And I am just gonna divide that by 164,000 and see how many those do. Okay, so that's kind of... Okay, going to calculate that comes out to having 7 of these well, actually it's a bit. Well, actually it's 6 2/3. So, and this should tell you why you either should have smaller amounts of fusion fuel, so you don't need this much hydrogen, or you can use OPT space plane components. Like, let me find them. Like, they look fairly distinctive. Like for example, this cockpit. These parts, they've got a really adaptable fuel tank which can actually hold both the liquid deuterium and liquid helium-3 in the correct fuel ratios, but also take the now I'm is that just in the regular fuel tanks? It's okay, it's just in the regular, just in the fuel tanks that you can have the liquid hydrogen needed to power the vessel. However, oh yeah, it works, so yeah, that was a bit of a detour. So anyway, lot of stuff when I get round to it, I haven't made it yet, but I'm going to make a table listing all of the fuel consumption ratios for all the relevant engines. Like, we haven't covered all. Some engines only consume one type of fuel. So yeah. Anyway, that's further down. Ah yes, the Fresnel mirror cell fusion engine. I'm not going to be putting fuel ratios for this engine because, as you can see here. Oh wait a second, no. I think have a different engine. I'm going to put fuel ratios for the afterburning mode because it's harder to balance the correct amount of liquid hydrogen, the deuterium and the helium, simply because they don't all come in the same tank with the ratios set, which is a little bit annoying, but not yet unsurmountable. And the ratio comes out at 201 liquid hydrogen per liquid deuterium, so which is actually the same as the Discovery Spherical tokamak engine, which, as we saw, that just needed a lot of fuel tanks. I'm not going to just stack fuel tanks for 2 minutes again. Oh yeah, and you can increase the length of the radiators. Actually, no, they're not radiators, they're chambers. I have no idea why you would actually do this, as it seems to increase the heat output and decrease thrust, but oh wait, I think it increases the specific impulse. Oh wait, it does. Oh, that explains it. I had a feeling that the model, no, the creator, a mod creator would not just add a random useless feature to a mod. Well, probably. Ah, yes, the next engine, the Cascade Axial Flow Z-pinch fusion engine. It's a very cool looking engine, and it is also the first based on my own experimentation and calculations, this is one of 3 different torch drive engines available in far future technologies. But they're basically torch drives, unreasonably high specific impulse, with extremely high thrust. So basically, it's super efficient and powerful. Like, one of my antimatter fuel torch drives, I did a test mission with it, managed to get to Joule in 12 days instead of 2 years. Like, it cost like 700,000 meters per second of delta V, but having what is essentially just cutting your transit time to weeks instead of years. Like in the real world, this is so valuable that there's actually a lot of people who actually a lot of rocket scientists who would love to see real life torch drives. There are some, I mean, like, and this is one of the options actually. A Z-pinch fusion. I think the Z stands for. On document for this engine because the fuel's already balanced in the correct ratios. And oh wait, it's a chargeable engine in fact. Oh yeah, they're both chargeable engines. All the fusion engines are chargeable engines. I just keep not mentioning it or forgetting it. Yeah, so this is just very big engine, another 5 meter one compared to like some of these 3.75 meter ones. Oh, so they can attach that radially. Okay, now I'm learning things while I'm making this video. So you can actually rate like those are 3.75 meter ones, like the tokamak, which I forgot to mention. Why did I? Live commentary. I've been talking 40 minutes without stopping now. I realise. So oh yeah, this requires. I think this is one of the high. I think this is the highest amount of electric charge required to charge the engine required by any engine in this whole model. Yeah, it's got balanced. The fuel is already pre-balanced. Don't click this, otherwise you'll be getting into orbit with your vessel and you'll wonder why it isn't working, and it will not be working because you forgot to put your fuel on. Oh wait, burn time so high, game can't calculate delta V. So 310 meters per second, that's pretty good. However, abysmal for us. So you cannot use this for torch drive style brachistochrone trajectories. And I'm like fairly sure I said that right, but not 100% sure. And B, if you want an explanation on brachistocrones, Atomic Rocket's website. It's just got everything about cool rocket technology. Yeah, so anyway. Ah yes, I'll explain these fuel tanks later. In fact, actually I'll explain these fuel tanks when I get around to the end. Oh wait, these are worth mentioning. The Vulcan nuclear smelter. This is really for the creation of advanced nuclear fuels using uranium as a default material. Nuclear saltwater, I will explain that later, but the engines that use this are very, 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 very cool. Very awesome and extremely dangerous. Don't point them at planets. Don't use them in planets. A lot of things like that. So, oh yeah, this one also takes in ore, the nuclear saltwater. So, consumes 1 ore, 18 enriched uranium, 15 electric charge, outputs 5 nuclear saltwater. This is mainly for refueling your saltwater or fission fragments. There's actually only one engine that uses fission fragments. That's near the end, I'll explain it later. Fission pads, that's used by, I think, like 2 engines. Furbishable later, that's just generally useful, but specifically relates to the Casaba. The Nova antimatter facility. This very long part is how you actually make usable amounts of antimatter in a science mode save, or career for that matter. If you can actually get the thing onto a place where you can get lots of resources. So anyway, it stores 100 antimatter in and of itself, which is pretty interesting. Has 2 different converters for light elements and heavy elements. Light as it says in the description, you can use light elements. Using light elements is cheap, like only requires liquid hydrogen, but it's inefficient. Like 18 per hour at 10,000 electric charge per second. That's a lot. Like, there is one part that can supply that amount of electric charge continuously, and that is the 3.75 meter diameter fusion reactor in deuterium mode only. Like, all the fusion reactors have two modes. Like, well, I say all, I mean both. They have a deuterium-deuterium mode, which only consumes deuterium, and a deuterium-helium-3, which consumes deuterium and helium-3 for double the power output of pure deuterium. But you only get, well, where it says kilowatt, it took me a little while to figure out that 1 kilowatt is 1 electric charge. So basically that's 4,000 per second for such a tiny amount of liquid deuterium. You essentially have infinite power generation. And this is 8,000 kilowatts for basically saying, oh yeah, and you need to deal with the waste heat, and it needs a startup charge. Same goes for the large one, where basically all the numbers are bigger. Like, a bit bigger. Anyway, yeah, fusion reactors. This powers the antimatter. Like, the antimatter facility. Oh, I keep getting diverted by random stuff. The antimatter facility, it can use liquid hydrogen and electric charge to make antimatter at 18 per hour. More efficient is heavy elements, which, unlike light elements, surprisingly it generates heat. Lots of heat. So it takes in fission pellets. Unfortunately, there's only one. This is the only fuel tank in the whole game that stores fission pellets. Although, come to think of it, I think the OPT parts... Yep, OPT parts can handle fission pellets. Anyway. So, the antimatter factory... keep scrolling. So it can take in 1 fission pellet per second and 10,000 electric charge per second to generate half a unit of antimatter per second. So basically, so if you want to fill one of these fuel tanks, which hold 96,000 antimatter, using this factory, you'd have to have the deuterium fusion reactor so you didn't run out of charge, the tank so you could store vessels, store what? Store vessels, no, store antimatter. And no, that's the wrong tank, that's the right tank, and basically twice as much fission pellets as antimatter. I think you need about 2 tanks, 2 fission pellets for one of these with a bit left over for like this and some more, just generally. Yeah, so those are the basically for refueling and mining and resource utilization. This is called atmospheric ram scoop. It has a shock. This has a shock cone. Basically, it has 3 modes: pointy cone, ram supersonic jet like Concorde intakes, and boring circle used by passenger airliners. Basically, the air intakes actually have different efficiencies at different altitudes. Consumes a bit of power, outputs a bit of heat, has 100% fuel efficiency on extracting large amounts of resources. However, this only works in atmospheres. So you'd have to find... So in order to get this... So let's say you wanted to extract liquid deuterium, which is, by the way, one of the hardest resources to find normally. and it has, so you'd have to have an atmospheric planet, or you have to build a plane with the ram scoop attached, and some empty fuel tanks to have to carry the fuel. I have these dust regolith processing systems. They just directly mine liquid helium. Oh yeah, that gravionium, that's not part of our future technologies, that's part of Blue Shift, so I'm not talking about it. Okay, this consumes less electricity to generate. Actually, I think, yeah, this one's actually better because it consumes like a quarter of the electric charge for half the fuel output, so this is more efficient overall. Oh yeah, I talked about this earlier, the buzzard particle scoop. This is basically, it's got worse efficiency for collecting fuel, and can't collect the gases, but can collect antimatter and gravionium, but that's not part of far future technologies, and is the only exospheric harvester, which means it works in space. So you can deploy this in a region of resources. And anyway, so past that, and now we're down to the last 5 engines. And starting up, we have the Heinlein nuclear saltwater rocket engine. This is insane. On the Atomic Rockets website and on the dedicated video made by a YouTuber, which I could put a link for the video in the description, but there's a link to the video on the Atomic Rockets website. Oh yeah, this is all like cool. It's like default. Then you've got little white shell. Then you've got a small covering golden shell. Then you've got comparative, which is just basically default but without the ring on top. Anyway, this consumes nuclear saltwater, which is stored in fissionables tanks. Like, so yeah, just bolted the biggest 5-meter tanks. Like, by the way, the smaller fissionables tanks, they can hold both nuclear saltwater, but they can also hold fission fragments, which I'll explain later. That'll actually be the last engine on the list. So yeah, this consumes nuclear saltwater a lot, and a bit of electric charge to run at fairly high thrust. Like, this is not this specific impulse. It's only slightly less efficient than the stock ion engine, but has something that has 900 times the thrust. So this is a pretty good engine in and of itself. So yeah, anyway, oh yeah, that's just what fission fragment, and like I'll explain that later. I said that twice now. ISD Vern pulsed fission engine. This is one of the earlier pulp fission engines, earlier far future engines that you get in a science mode save, which has community tech tree, I might add. So you can just add fission pellets to it literally only consumes fission pellets. So there's yes, another charge up engine. Oh yeah, nuclear saltwater engines, they don't. This is a pretty good specific impulse. Gimbal, fairly standard engine. It's just like little pulses of nuclear explosions, and then it's got some animations, but that's not how to run it. The Neven nuclear saltwater larger nuclear salt. As you can tell by simply looking at the thrust and the mass, this is a lot larger. It is in fact 5 meters wide to compare to the Heinlein. A lot taller. I think it's like 3 of them. Let me just check. I'm going to check how tall it is compared to these. Okay, it's about 2 and a 2/3 tall. And this thing is the third torch drive. I forgot. This is also torch drive, the antimatter one. Nuclear saltwater though is good. So it consumes a lot of electric charge, like almost 4 times as much, but it consumes 1/18th of the amount of nuclear saltwater compared to the Heinlein. So this thing has a much higher specific impulse, 120,000 seconds, and a thrust of 3,800 kilonewtons, which is insane. To find a stock comparison, the Mammoth, 4,000 kilonewtons, specific impulse, 315. Like, compared to the Mammoth, this nuclear saltwater engine has, in vacuum, 200 kilonewtons less thrust, and something like 1,000 times the specific impulse. It's insane. And yeah, it also generates a lot of heat, so you need a lot of radiators. Right, nearly done all of them. Last 2. So now we have the Clark Fission fragment rocket engine. This engine, it consumes enriched uranium. It says 0.0, but I think it's actually a value close enough to that the game rounds it down to 0. As you can see, the thrust is pathetic, the specific impulse is insane. So this is essentially the ion drive, but more exaggerated in every way imaginable, in every single way. So basically we have a rotating core. This creates a confusing animation because of all the... It's like, man, look at all the little intricacies. You can even see all the rotating discs, like links, like I will put a link to the Atomic Rockets website, which is where all these concepts get explained in detail. I say, well, actually no, I've seen most of them. Haven't found anything for an antimatter initiated microfusion engine. Or for that matter, I haven't seen mirror cell fusion or a toroidal tokamak. But the rest are there. Okay, so this is really efficient, but low fuel. It actually has integrated fuel tanks, so you don't need to add it to fuel. Oh, it also has a compact variant. Not entirely sure why you'd need compact, so how little of a difference it makes, but okay, if you want to. And now the Asimov afterburning fission. Like in the real world, these 2 engines run on the same resource. In Kerbal Space Programs, this is a uranium engine, and this runs on fission fragments. And now I explain fission fragments. So they don't have their own fuel tank as such. They just have... You just have to change the nuclear saltwater tiny tanks to fissionable particles, which store fission fragments. Add those on. It has so much delta V the game can't calculate it, or so much burn time. Yes, past the burn time that the game can handle. So yeah, it's a 3.75 meter. What about a 3.75 meter engine consumes consumes fissionable fission fragments, and as the name, like it says, it's an afterburning, and it does have an afterburning mode. 10 times thrust, adds liquid hydrogen. And according to, like, this is actually on the Atomic Rockets website, like, these bits right here, the, like, rings on the spike, on the legs, I don't know what to call them, legs, eggs, or the engine bit, these are injectors for the hydrogen. And I calculated fuel consumption ratios, and in order to perfectly optimize the afterburning mode, you need to have to have, it's basically a fuel consumption rate, a fragment to hydrogen ratio of 1 to 4,778. So if I just, so in order to have the right amount of antimatter for this fuel tank, I need to go, the right amount of fission fragments for this fuel tank. Oh my gosh, it's been over an hour. I need to 840 times 4,978, or close enough chaos decimals. So you need 3,057,920 hydrogen. I am not going to bother to add all that onto the engine, onto this vessel, just so I can demonstrate my point. In reality, you'll be mostly burning in regular mode, which has 450,000 seconds of specific impulse at 30 kilonewtons of thrust. Like, in this regular mode, this engine is just outright better than the Clark, unless you might want to have a smaller form factor for launching probes. But that is all the engines in this mod, plus some fuel tanks and components. And now I need to talk in a bit more detail about some of these dependencies. For example, the most important one by far is heat control, which is made by the same mod developer who made Far Future Technologies, so it is absolutely 100% compatible. So this is the best radiator in the mod because it can, according to system heat, which is one of the Far Future's technology required dependencies for the mod to load, like press this button, it will actually, oh, for some reason it doesn't mention it, but this is actually a much more accurate thing I've noticed. But anyway, that's coming from this part here, which is also, and it's just basically, you're going to stack a bunch of these in a line and have heat radiation. But anyway, this extendable one, 8,000 kilowatts of heat radiation, which, like, in order for the nuclear saltwater engine to work, you need, and I know this for a fact because I've tested it, 8 of these, and I just like putting them like this, so you have like, so like it basically looks like fins, like you've got like radiator fins. Got a lot of heat generation. That might be able to get, no, you wouldn't be able to get a wave 6. You could get a wave 6. No, you couldn't according to the engine. So, just add more radiators than you think you need, and you'll have enough. Is a law of thumb, basically, for, but well, not law of thumb. It's the phrase is the old saying. The saying is rule of thumb. Oh my, let's do this. Yes, the other important mod is near future electrical, which adds batteries which adds more batteries in lots of sizes. These capacitors, which, to be honest, I have never used these capacitors, even though they can store like 8 times, even though they can store, they effectively just store excess electric charge, and you can then just use it later. For example, like, this would be primarily useful on, if I just grab an engine out of, let's just take the hind line, 25 electric charge per second, but you don't have enough batteries for a sustained burn. What you do, right, is you have a bunch of these capacitors, which are incredibly lightweight, considering that this basically holds 32,000 electric charge, and then you discharge the electricity while the burn is running, while you're doing your burn, so your batteries don't run out or run out as fast. The fusion reactors, they're Far Future Technologies, which is something I just discovered as I was talking. Oh yeah, near future solar, like that's another one you can use, but I prefer the constant power output of things like the fusion reactors, the RTGs, and in particular the nuclear reactors, like the Hermes. That's a lot of electric charge. Admittedly, this great big chunky nuclear reactor is outclassed by this little thing burning deuterium and helium-3. So yeah, fusion reactors are definitely the way forward. I mean, that one's even lighter to boot. Admittedly, this one does have integrated fuel tanks. And yeah, that's a lot. Oh yeah, all these nuclear reactors, they've got like core lifetimes. Most, like to be honest, almost all of them are some variation on almost exactly 5 years. But this one runs for 7 years. So if you're doing a long duration mission, then you might, which consumes a lot of electricity, then you want one of these. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of more batteries, like far few. Actually, no. Oh wait, I think the 7. This is actually. This is the 5-meter battery. This is the 7.5-meter battery bank. And I think that actually comes from near future launch vehicles. Like basically all the near future mods are great. Like these engines, they're from near future propulsion. Like let me just find something. These station cores, they're from actually. This is from space station expansion parts, but that's developed by the same mod developer as Far Future Technologies, Heat Control, and Near Future. So this guy's made a lot of mods, a lot of very good mods. In fact, his mods were so good that he's now part of the development team working on KSP2. Oh yeah, and to show I have a test vehicle based on nuclear saltwater. I probably should show this when I was demonstrating nuclear saltwater. Hangar extender to the rescue. So yes, I bolted lots of radiators. Like I actually have extra radiators, like just because. So yeah, this is mostly Far Future Technologies. Some stock, radiators for heat control. This annular modular truss is near future construction. Like I downloaded like 5 mods just after I got Far Future Technologies, just to make Far Future Technologies work. It took me like a week to figure out what mods, to find the right mods for my purposes. So yeah, and I'm basically just giving you all this information which I spent a long time calculating for free. So I hope you like it, and like don't forget to like if you like this video. It has been almost an hour and 10 minutes. I am starting to get a sore throat. And if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more videos, then you can subscribe. When not interrupted by, for example, like for me this Saturday, so at the moment there's like, I think, I can't remember what the thing is called, like the people who apparently there's like a hack attack, a cyber attack was being launched on YouTube by, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I might annoy some people, but it's the people who are fighting Israel at the moment. Like, if you don't know about that, then well, maybe it might be a bad idea for me to mention this, as it's like a it's like controversial issue and stuff, and like, but well, that's why this video is going to come out late. Like when I say late, like Monday. So yeah, I'm just scrolling up and down this. I need to. Oh yeah, I think I have a Z-pinch design somewhere. It was in here. Where was it? I had two. This was it. Oh yeah. It's like, this is like, as you can see, burn time is so extreme that the game cannot calculate it. Delta V is, oh wow, that's a bit higher than it was. 1 million meters per second. So yeah, in short, Cascade Z-pinch fusion engine, very good engine. And yes, so 3 torch drives, which are used for fast interplanetary missions: the Frisbee, the Niven nuclear saltwater engine, and if I can find it again, too many parts, I wish I had a filter. The Cascade, yeah, this engine, and this engine, these are the torch drives. These are the engines that you put on your vessels if you want to spend 3 weeks of in-game time travelling to Joule instead of 2 years. Or like, well, it would be double that, like 4 for a return trip, whereas this one you could be Joule and back in like less than a month, in like less than 2 months. Which, in my opinion, is pretty cracked. Especially if you're playing on something, if you've got something like, I don't know, one of the advanced colonization mods, and you're basically just kind of, you need to get your Kerbals quickly. You can't afford to spend years traveling, so you can just use torch drives on. Oh yeah, another point, like with the Cascade and the Niven, try not to overload your vessels too much, because otherwise they might not have enough Delta V. Like for the Z-pinch, the fuel is relatively lightweight and gives you a lot of kick, so you can just add more fuel. Nuclear saltwater power is pretty heavy, but this doesn't really apply to the Frisbee because it's just stupidly powerful and efficient. It's like, this is quite literally a whole other tier. This is just the top torch drive. This is like number 1. Like Frisbee is the best engine in Far Future Technologies. And with that, I will wrap up this video. So thank you all very much for watching if you made it to the end, and see you in the next episode.